All right. So first thing, just really quick, what's your name?
William Rosso.
William Rosso.
Yeah.
All right. It's good to meet you. And I know we already discussed this, but how long have you been homeless?
Since '98, I've been on and off.
Off and on?
On and off. But I mean, I was out for '98 to 2001 when this happened.
Okay.
My hand got messed up, and then I was off the streets then for a while. I was out about 2 years, 3 years.
Okay.
And then I screwed that up, and walked out because the people at them boarding carriers treat people like shit.
Oh, I know. What's the one down here on Market Street, St. Vincent de Paul's?
Oh, St.
Like
Vincent
that?
de Paul, yeah.
They're terrible.
Yeah. Well, no, the lady, some people are good, but the lady that ran the house, they're making bank off this
Exactly.
stuff, right? And the thing is that we have to put up with certain rules, and I'm paying my money for rent? Nah, come on, lady. I had to go home at 10 o'clock curfew.
Right.
Are you putting a curfew on a grown man that's paying my rent here for you?
Right.
I got into it with her about that. He says, well, you know how it is, because they take people that were in transition from the hospital that needed aftercare, like me with my hand and arm and everything. And guys are walking around in walkers, because he had hip surgeries and all kinds of different problems. And he had to share a room with a couple other people and pay rent too. So I really didn't like the situation too much myself. And I asked her, I said, well, you can't, because I left my stuff out and those guys stole some, like tobacco, and I left some tobacco and some cigarettes and some beer out one night. Or I left it there, and when I came back it was gone. So the roommates stole it from me. And that's another thing that goes on in those places. Those guys are pretty ruthless too, because you can take a person off the streets, but you can't take the street out of them if they're like that.
Right.
It's because once they develop a way of living out here, whether it's stealing or robbing or whatever they do, selling drugs, whatever they can do to come up on money, they have to.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Do you think one lends itself to the other? Like you almost in a way have to become that way in order to survive on the street.
Yeah. Well, it depends, man. I mean, see, now me, I'm an honest person, and I did steal stuff myself, but I got caught. That was my second prison term. Although they overdid it on that too. Right. Because they were giving people prison terms for petty thefts. Yeah.
Well, the mandatory maximum sentences too.
It was like the 3 strikes thing. Three petty thefts and you're out. The law's been really, but they've reprimanded that, and we've done it, so that's no longer in effect. And in fact, they're changing, but it's been a long time. It's a very slow process of how the prison system works. Yeah. And it breaks you. They are there to break you and make you feel shitty and make you come back because they want the money. Right. They don't.
Was that all here in California or San Diego?
Well, no, California. I was up in. It's all been since I've been down to San Diego. Oh, okay. Yeah, I came down here. I got busted up in LA. I really don't want to go into details about what happened because
no worries.
A lot of people wouldn't understand it. But I got into a lot of trouble. Yeah, and I wound up going to prison for 5 years, or actually 2.5 years. Stupid stuff I did. It's just a bunch of crap that I did, and it hindered me. And the type of stuff that I have on my record hinders you from getting work. It hinders you from people accepting you. It hinders you from all kinds of things. Right. Once you have once you become a felon, that's what or convict they call it. It's a convict. And once you become a convict, I mean, they have programs for us and stuff like that, but even there, if I really want to admit it, I have a drinking problem, okay? And I needed to address that, which I didn't. Right. And they tried to help me, to make you go to meetings and stuff like that. In fact, I'm on parole right now, and my parole officer is making me go to this program where we have to go to meetings and stuff like that, because I got caught drinking it on the parole. So, but they're not as bad as they were. See, now before, if they caught you, they would give you a violation, stick you back in prison for 30 or 40 days, and then bring you back out. Right. At least now they're trying to help people by giving them programs and trying to hopefully that they'll click in and give them some help. More rehabilitation than punishment. But it wasn't like that for a long time, though. Yeah. And that's what ruined a lot of guys. Yeah. Me including, because it happened, all that whole prison thing since I think Duke Majan started this whole brand new prison thing they've got. I think ever since then, they just turned it into a money-making machine. Oh, I know, the privatization of prisons.
But for people that have had, you know, a similar situation, like 2 decades worth, it kind of at some point you just go like, I don't know what I can do anymore. Like,
yeah, well, because there it's all about survival too. It's a different type of survival. And my first term, if you will, I was lucky because my parents are still alive and they helped me have stuff in there. So I, you know, like tobacco and coffee and stuff like that, and they'd send me packages and send me money. So you know, it's about money in there too, even for us, even for the prisoners. And they used to have jobs, you know, which everybody worked and they had a pay number.
A trustee.
Yeah, a trustee, like a trustee. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, you're just a worker. You know, you get a job like sweeping and mopping, or janitorial jobs. They got every building where all the prisons are. They have a crew in there that does the cleanup and stuff, and they used to get pay numbers. Well, they cut all that out. There's nothing left. I mean, they've been budget cutting for the last, I guess, 10, 15 years since I've been in. At least since I've been in this. I did a 7-year term, and it kind of broke me too. I mean, it just, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, see, I don't come from a background where I grew up with drugs and stuff, where my family was all involved with that. So for a guy like me to wind up in prison like that, it breaks you a lot more. Now those guys that are real criminals, they don't care. They just go back and forth and back. They know that's their way of life, and they enjoy doing it.
Right.
They like going out and having the gangster style and all that. You know, and even in prison, they have little cliques. You know, they segregate in there, so you have to stay by.
But you're talking more the violent criminals versus like you didn't do anything.
No, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that there's what they call there's a different code of ethics in there, and you just have to kind of learn it as you go along. So I just kept low profile, watched and observed what was going on in there myself, and I did pretty good. I stayed away from all the trouble that you can get into in there, all the different things that people did. You know, like you said, the drugs.
Right.
You know, there was a lot of drugs in there, and I mean, it's, you know, it's a way of life that's it's a no man's land. But like I said, the criminals, the true criminals that are in there, they still operate out of a criminal mind. See,
right?
They've developed a criminal mind since they were kids, and that's all they'll ever know. And they try to rehabilitate them and educate them, but they're not interested because they bailed out of school and just turned into being a gangster because they like the money and this lifestyle with the guns and all that stuff. And I guess I can understand that in a way because their families, it's like generation after generation is involved with that system, with that part of stuff. And
that's all they've ever known.
Yeah, it's all they've ever known. So those guys it's really hard to rebuild. And at least the ones that are honest with themselves, they say, yeah, I like this lifestyle. I'm not going to stop.
Right.
You know, when you want me to stop drinking and drugging for? I say, that's what I do. And a lot of them are really, you know, they call it being straight out about it, or straight up. They're just very straight up about what they do, and they know it. So when they go to prison, it doesn't really bother them because they've been doing it all their life. You know, going back and forth, and you know.
That's interesting. Do you think there should be a different place for people that are less?
Well, yeah, there is. There is. It's called It's called a protective custody. Now, if you really think that you need protective custody, you can go to protective custody. Now, that's for a lot of guys that are like me. But I mean, I stuck it out on the main line for a long time. But it started getting really bad in there about the politics. There's actually the politics that go between the inmates. I mean, it's really bad, and they strong arm people out of their store, and I mean they've really gotten terrible. It's a lot worse now in prison than it ever was. I mean, before there was a lot more respect. People had a lot of respect for each other, and if you wanted to mind your own business and get out, you could. Now it's about that they want you to start putting in work for them and all this. They call it putting in work, where they do little favors for guys, like if they want somebody to get stabbed, or if they want somebody to go sell some drugs for them, or use them as an intermediate person to go do some things for them, and then they break them in. You know, they recruit them. Now, a lot of times they got rid of a lot of the bigger gangs in there. You know, there's one's called the Nazi Little. I mean, you learn all that from there. I mean, sure, people out here are not going to know this,
right?
But I mean, those are the guys that have more the criminal mentality that want to stay that way. So they operate out of a criminal mentality in prison. Same thing. And if you want to join their gang, they recruit you, and you know you have to do certain things here and there, put in your work, they call it, to get inducted into the group. You know, but it's really got. I mean, even to do that, you know, if they try to take a guy and say the guy's good, we'll you know, go stab this guy and don't say nothing about it, okay? Or then they stab him. See if he's going to say anything. They call it ratting people out.
Right.
You know, now that's one thing that is bad. I mean, Now, if a guy's going to sit there and rat you out, then they have to go to PC because those guys are going to stab his ass.
Yeah.
You know, besides, if there's a lot of guys that owe money for debts for drugs and everything. That's what they do. They pull up PC moves, get out. You know, I mean, it's just all kinds of weird, things that go on like that. But that's, they got caught up and all that stuff, and then they found out it wasn't really what they wanted. And there's people that don't like it, and then they have a chance to go to a protective custody yard. And lately, a lot of the gang members, because this 3 strikes law has threatened them with life sentences.
Right.
We catch you with pieces and stabbings and all the stuff they do. We're going to give you looking at life. So a lot of the guys are kind of, I don't know if I really, before it was kind of back and forth, and now if you murdered somebody and got caught, then of course you're going to get a life sentence. But a lot of guys would get murdered that never got caught. The guys that did the job, or what they call did the job. So it's like a criminal. It's the criminal mentality that's in there, but you can avoid it if you used to be able to, But then they start. This last time I went on Mainline, they call it, and they try to recruit people, but they have all these certain rules where they go to bed at night. It has to be quiet from 10 o'clock at night to like 10 o'clock in the morning, and it all has to be quiet. Everybody has to be quiet, and then they do like a roll call. They got these guys called the skinheads, and they're like the white gang, and they have everybody do roll calls, and then they check your paperwork. They call your paperwork, see if you're good. Now, anybody that has any type of, like if a guy's a gay man or a queer, they don't want them on Maryland. They say they're cleaning out the yards, is what they call it. They're cleaning up the yards. They're getting rid of all the junk. They think their mentality is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, their mentality is to say, well, this guy's no good because he got busted for raping a broad. Well, maybe he got falsely accused. They don't know that. You can't judge the guy right off the bat.
Right.
Say, oh, you're a rapist, huh? Well, get the fuck out of here. We're going to kill you. And that's what they do. They threaten them to, or if you're a child molester or things like that. And some of them have gotten really hurt and they're really bad.
That wrongfully accused thing happens all the time, actually.
I know, and I think what started it is the O.J. Simpson case with Jessica Simpson, is that her name? I think that she was in some foul play, and he just got caught up in it. And he probably knew about it,
right?
And just didn't want to get involved. And they got him involved somehow, and so she got fucking off for something. Maybe the same thing. Maybe she owed money for drugs, and they're gonna keep that all. We don't know nothing, Just like when the Kennedys got shot, I'm sure they knew who did it,
right?
But we don't know nothing. They do the same thing as criminals do. They're just a big giant criminal outfit. This is the government. That's the way I look. They're the same thing, but they've got a lot more power.
They're definitely like the mob.
Well,
basically
they are like the mob. I mean, they are like the mob. I mean, but it's the legal mob.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a legal mob. It's not illegal. So that's what separates the criminals from the criminals, if you will, because they're working for the good guys, so to speak. Yeah, but it's ridiculous. I mean,
it's pretty ridiculous.
It's stupid the way things are. And people are aware of it. But see, my observation of what I've seen out here is that they've got everybody. You know what the word convoluted means?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, everything is so convoluted and fucked around, if you will. It's hard for anyone to even think about what's going on with somebody else's life because they got everybody so boxed in with their own lives they can't think about them except their own lives. We have to worry about their. I mean, look, you got two working parents that aren't home with their kids anymore. The kids aren't getting taught anything except for here's some money, go there, go to the movies, go to this, and the kids don't have any type of proper upbringing. A lot of them don't with people that work like that because they're not home to take care of them.
I have personal experience in what you're talking about. I never met my dad, and my mom worked 2 jobs and went to school. I had to basically care for me and my sister growing up.
Yeah.
And there was no, here, let me teach you how to be an adult. Let me teach you what taxes are. Let me teach you how to live a proper life. It was just.
Yeah, well, I was lucky. I had that, and even though my mom, she was an alcoholic, but she even worked. I mean, they got together and worked, and I was one of the first what they call latchkey kids.
Oh yeah.
Because I had to lock the door when I left to go to school, and I had a key to get home and let myself in. So it made me grow up a little bit early.
Yeah.
I had to be a little more responsible for myself, and so it wasn't bad for me. But I mean, some people think it's terrible or making you're taking on a little responsibility. So what? That's all they do because they both decide to work, And they didn't have to. My mom didn't have to work. She could have stayed home. But by the time I came along, I'm the last child, and I'm the baby of the family. So they've already made their nut, if you will, or their way in life. They came from poverty situation in their 30s and came all the way up to where they had a really nice house to stay, and they both had good careers. You know, my mom was not an accountant, but I forget what they call them. But she did a lot of the paperwork and payrolls and stuff. You know, she was a bookkeeper. So she kept the books and kept everything honest for his taxes and stuff. So she was a good bookkeeper. Real frugal with money. She was good at it. And that's what she did for work. She was a bookkeeper. And then my dad became a school teacher. And in fact, he got his credential down here at SDSU. You know, got his teaching credential, and then went up to LA because back at that time, the money was better up there than down here. The education system down here wasn't quite as established as it is now. You know, but like I said, I don't really come from a criminal background. I grew up in a upper middle class area of a town called Glendora, and a lot of decent people, and of course, you had a couple of neighbors here and there that were thorns in the side once in a while, but it's just that I had more or less a normal, quote unquote, upbringing. You know, and my dad taught me a lot of good values, the values of life, about how to be honest and be, and don't lie, don't cheat. All the things that like the golden rule says, treat others like you treat yourself. So, I was kind of, I'm still like that. I'm a very honest person. But then I'm a little too honest, because if something goes wrong and I volunteer information, it goes against me. See, that's what the law does too. Mm-hmm. If you volunteer information to them, they're going to use it against you. And unfortunately, I did that because I had so much guilt, for what I did for wrong and stuff. And that guilt is it's terrible to feel guilty like that. I mean, just from my personal point of view, I think that that guilt that people feel, they got to find a way to get rid of it before it does some damage to people. Because I've been very damaged by guilt, not from my parents. I don't know where it came from, but I just know I had a lot of guilt. So I'm searching myself, in my own life, trying to figure out why I got so screwed up like that, and why I got so messed up myself. Got caught up in this party scene, but the party scene turned into just to be that was a nightmare. I mean, I never really felt comfortable like you. I just never really felt I fit in anywhere. But I thought the party scene would be cool and all that. But all I do is just stand there with a beer in my hand and look at people and watch them. I wouldn't even try to talk to people. Just kind of was like paralyzed to talk to people. A lot of guys go there to pick up on girls and stuff like that. I just went there to see what was going on. Most of the time. And I had a couple girls here and there, but. And a lot of guys just do it to score. They say, we're going to go score. Yeah, I was there for that too. I mean, I ain't saying I didn't, but I wasn't, I never made a big issue out of it, because I figured if you're going to have a girlfriend and you knock her up and get her pregnant, then what are you going to do? You haven't even started a life yet. So those things I had a responsible mind at the time. But at the other hand, it kind of hindered me from having good experiences with women too.
Right.
But that's besides the point. But
yeah. So let me ask you, how did you become homeless?
Well, unfortunately, like I said, when I first got in trouble in LA, all right, my parents moved down here to San Diego. They came to San Diego in 1956, I think it was, 55. Somewhere in that time, and I was born in 1959, so that was a long time ago. And they came to California to make their goal, make a life. They came from back east, and they did pretty well for themselves. My dad like I said, he went back to school, and my mom, she was already had experience being secretary, so she continued and learned how to be a bookkeeper. But she actually helped my dad a lot get through school. I give my mom credit because she actually helped him do some of his homework. College is it's very pressurized. You got a lot of things. People think that this school is not there. Man, I'm telling you, I'm smart enough to go to college. See, that's the route my dad wanted me to go. He wanted me to go to college and become something out of college, just to because I have the brains for it. I just never used them. I'm a very intelligent man, and I have a lot of worth things. But see, I always had that guilt and inferior feelings that always bothered me when I was a kid. You know, and I got caught up with in doing the drugs and the dope don't help. So for me, that's my personal experience as to why I ran up the streets, because I didn't believe in myself at all. And every time something would go wrong, I felt even worse. So when I finally got in trouble with the law, I mean, I had little scrapes here and there, but then I got this big case on me. I couldn't overcome it. I couldn't snap back. I just felt too bad about everything, and of course other people did too, because it's really it's a touchy situation, and for me it's really hard to explain it, because I don't want people to, you know, like you said, I don't want to volunteer my information to it. So it's something that's not really good, and it's a very touchy situation. But that's one thing I like to say is people that have the same kind of situation I'm in, they're actually helping us now too. They're helping us get more help. The other guys have the same type of cases I got. And they finally, after all these years, are getting us some help, where before they weren't. So now that's one thing that I'll give them credit for. They finally got some help for us, or at least trying to.
Yeah, starting to get a little better.
A little bit, because they finally found out. I think what happened is somebody got beat up, or a few guys got beat up that had law people, lawyers and stuff for their families and stuff. So they got in there and started looking around and doing some investigation about what's going on in there, and they're going to put a stop to a lot of the stupid shit that they do that they don't need to. I mean, guys that have a drug problem or alcohol problem, we'll put them in programs. I mean, even if it doesn't stick to them, just eventually maybe it will.
We definitely need more rehabilitation.
Yeah, well, I mean, but they don't, myself personally, I've been to a few recovery programs, and I actually went through them and passed them, but I'd get back out and I'd start drinking again, because I have an alcohol problem. So that's another reason why I'm out here, is because drinking kind of phased me out of being anything I could have been, so to speak, because Is
that why you think like you're still homeless?
No, I just got used. You get used to it. It's a life. You can make a lifestyle out of it, and you can actually survive pretty good out here. I mean, I panhandle. I really don't like asking people for money, but I have more of an excuse than a lot of them because of my hands, so that kind of helps a little bit. And I am trying to get SSI now. I'm trying to get off the streets and get SSI, but I had that before too. Like I said, when I caught the petty theft charge, I had the SSI because I was staying at that board and care, and I was getting paid. And then I had it for like a year and a half or two, and then in 2003, I got in trouble for stealing some food, which was an accident. Once again, I was drunk. I mean, personally, that's a lot of reasons why I'm out here, and a lot of reasons why people panhandle is to make money from drinking. That's how I learned how to do it. I learned it from these guys out here. But I actually learned one time. I did an experiment for myself, and I actually stayed sober for about 6 months, and you can make some pretty good, decent. It's not rich, but it's for being homeless. You can take care of yourself pretty good.
Right.
And they have places where you can go shower, and if you get off your ass and use the resources, you got them. You just have to use them. You have to get to them and let them help you. But like you said, a lot of guys out here just want to keep drinking and drugging, and when you hit the streets, you do that to anesthetize yourself from the situation. Because we all know how bad it is out here to be on the streets. It's terrible. It's not a lifestyle. It's a fucking failure, man.
Yeah.
And because you see, what you failed at everything, I felt more guilty and more terrible, and just tried to drink to cover up all my feelings.
See, I agree with you in a sense, except that I feel like it's society's failure. And I'm not one of those people that believes in throwing the responsibility on something else, because I am wholeheartedly a believer of, I put myself in situations and I need to take responsibility for that. However, I also believe that we as a society, it's like how businesses, have you ever heard a corporation say we're only as strong as our weakest link?
Something like that, yeah.
That I believe the same thing about society. We're only as strong as what we allow our weakest links to be. And so we as a society need to make sure that we're putting in place the correct rehabilitation. Not just rehabilitation, the correct rehabilitation. Not just homeless shelters, the correct homeless shelters. Not just help to people, but the correct help to people. Otherwise...
Yeah, because there's a lot of mental... Well, see, this is what happened. Like, if you remember Reagan... You probably weren't even born when Reagan was president, were you? How old are you? Like 25?
I'm 35. I was born in '83, so I think he was.
Yeah, he was president in God, I forget the years. Right after Carter. Anyway, I've never really followed politics, but anyway, he actually had shut down the the state and federal funded mental hospitals. They cut them all out because there was guys that you go to those instead of going to prison. They put them in the mental hospital, which is supposed to be a little easier for them to, because there's guys that are looped.
Right.
And once they got rid of that, that's why you see these people out there running around talking to themselves and going crazy, because a lot of them do have some mental disorders out here. But they, it's like we don't know what to do. We don't know. They know what to do. They just don't want to help them. They got to put them in a place where they need to get the proper
care
help
that they need.
The care that they need.
Yeah.
Put them on the medication that they need to be on. Get them as best as they can straightened out. Because schizophrenia, schizoaffective, all those type of mental
even
disorders. Depression.
There's so many things that could cause it that you're just not fit in a lot of ways.
I got to me too. You get really upset. I mean, you're on the streets and you get treated like dirt. I mean,
you're beaten down.
Yeah, you're already down and out, and everyone want to push you down even further.
Exactly.
These people out here are crazy.
No respect, no care. You just
a lot of them don't.
90% of the time that you're looking at something, it's looking back at you like you're a piece of shit, and that's ridiculous.
I've had people say, "Why don't you get a job?" I show them my hands, so they kind of quieten down a little bit, because I do have a disability.
Specifically.
Yeah, but me specifically, and anybody else that has a disability,
right?
We have more of a reason to do that, because we can't get. Besides me, with the prison record I got and everything, I'm out. The kind of help I need to get back on SSI, and I need to.
So speaking of the SSI thing, do you believe that a universal basic income, like where everyone just received, let's say just random number, $500 or $1,000 per month, every month you just automatically receive that much money? Everyone, not just you, everyone across the board. Yeah. Do you believe that would significantly decrease the amount of homelessness? Would that provide people options to make more mistakes without ending up homeless?
Yeah, I think it could, because there's a lot of good people out here that are still okay. They're not really screwed up. They do have their drinking and drugging problems. But I think that a lot of guys want to get off the street. They don't really like it. But because financially, you're right. You got just enough money to get your little beer, your little drugs, or whatever,
and food
to eat. They have places to go eat, but you got to sit there for an hour and a half before you get to eat, stand on these food lines.
And very specific places and very specific times, and it's difficult to get around when you don't have a car and money. I mean,
and you have to find out where to go all the time. So. A lot of people, you form sort of camaraderie with other homeless people, because we can all identify with each other. But you still got to watch yourself, because there's some pretty wild people out here. You just have to be really careful. It's almost like being in prison, except you're out here. Right. It's like a big prison. But
you also have to worry about the cops out here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. As long as you behave and follow the rules, so to speak, you won't get in trouble. I mean, we're not supposed to stand there and make money. But if a cop comes by and tells you to get off the island, just get the hell out of there.
Right.
Don't argue with them, because I see you guys do that. And they write tickets. Okay, well, they give me a soliciting ticket. That's another thing. They target us for tickets like that.
Exactly.
They do.
Which means you have even less money at that point. You're like, if it turns into a warrant, then you serve jail.
They get money that way too.
Exactly.
I know. It's all about money, dude.
It's all about
all about the dollar, man. I know. It's that way for. I mean, people. Even the people that, that put us down, the ones that are doing well for themselves, even they get screwed by them, because if they get that ticket, they got to pay $500 too.
Exactly.
I mean, they can afford it, but they have to. It puts them out of their way to do. But they give them the option.
But to be honest, a lot of people can't. Even people that aren't homeless. We're at a point right now where, and this is just a random statistic that I read. I don't know about how accurate it is, but at least a certain percentage, a large percent, based on the statistics, 40% is what I saw, of people that are homeless have jobs. They work full-time jobs and still don't have enough money.
It's very difficult.
And then the people that are working full-time jobs, aren't making minimum wage, barely have enough to not be homeless. So if something like that happens, where you're like, oh no, my car broke down and it's going to cost me $2,000 to get it fixed, I don't have $2,000, so I can't make it to work. Within a month, I'm homeless. Like, what do I can't pay my rent. I'm living from month to month to month.
Yeah, and basically the government really doesn't give a shit.
They don't care. No, none of the politicians or the bankers or the pharmaceutical companies or the oil company, none of them care.
They just want to make money off you.
They just want to make, as long as they're making their money off of you, that's what matters. But there's a lot of people that are in bad situations, and it's getting worse. I can see in some situations that you were saying how it's getting better. Like, in a way, there are people that are trying to do better, but at the same time, if you look at the overall arc, it's showing that it's getting downhill. Like, more people are becoming homeless. Less people are getting out of homelessness. It seems to be getting worse and worse instead of better and better.
The federal government or the state-funded programs or federally funded programs, they don't want to put the money into it.
Right. Well, it's too busy being put into war.
Unless they can make money on you.
War makes money.
Or make money on you somehow with those. And somehow I think they do in a way, but yeah, it's like I said, everything's just very, very difficult to make a decision. But I mean, personally, I think that it's an oppressive government. They oppress people and make them, because you're forced to work for fucking shit that you can't. You have to have a job that you don't like. Have to have a job that you don't even like just to make money.
Stresses you out. You get sick.
Or anything. I mean, anything can happen to you. I mean, you get sick, you get stressed out. You don't like your job. You're always in a, they're miserable. People, I can understand why they are. I mean, I did that myself. Yeah. I used to work and I had jobs and I paid rent and stuff like that. But that's all you got enough for dudes. But you can't even really go out any fun. You can't even go to, I went to cheap bars, but those are cheap places. I couldn't go to the really nice dance clubs and stuff like everybody else did because I didn't have enough money to go there because the drinks are like, now they're like, shit, they're almost $10 for a stupid daiquiri, it's crazy. But yeah, the ones downtown, but that's all the richy riches down there that are doing all that, and if you don't have enough money to do that, your ass out on the fun, basically. Now, I mean, I don't hate them for having fun and not paying attention to us, but I hate them for not at least acknowledging somebody, because they actually look at you like you said, like you're a piece of shit, and they look at you like, why can't you be like us?
Well, I think a lot of people.
I don't know.
I think a lot of people, first of all, are afraid, and then second of all, they don't understand something that they haven't personally experienced.
Yeah,
so when you're looking at something, it's almost a reflection, and I think that fear that they have, the thing that they're projecting onto you, saying that you feel like they're telling you you're a piece of shit, is they're afraid that they might end up in that position. Yeah, and they don't know how to express that.
They don't want to say. I don't want to say that more. Well, I mean, there's pros and cons on both sides of the fence.
Right.
Everything has it. Like for our side, the guys that walk around that shit on people's property and piss all over the place, that they get down. I mean, I can understand that.
Right.
If you defecate and urinate on people's property.
But those are the people that you were saying. Those are the people that need mental assistance. At that point, they need the right care. Like, you wouldn't be doing that if you were in the right frame of mind. Even if you're homeless, you're not doing that just because you hate people. You're doing that because you aren't in the right mindset.
Yeah, you're too screwed up to
and so they need care. They don't need people to tell them they're a piece of shit.
They don't care. They gave up and don't care, and that's what happens. They just gave up and said, well, this is it. And they gave up on life, and a lot of them have.
Exactly.
A lot of people have just given up on life.
But we gave up on them first. That's the thing, is it didn't, like, the chicken followed the egg, not the other way around.
I mean, we had a voice back in 98, 99. They had a paper called The Streetlight.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And The Streetlight, it gave us a job. We'd go and get these little papers and stand on the corner and get money for it. Whatever money we made, we got to sell the papers and make money. I don't know what happened, but it was really a good little program for us, And it's like better than panhandling, because at least you're doing something to sell something. Hey, all right. And I mean, being homeless. I mean, for me, I can get out of it if I really want to. I mean, I'm not a stupid person. I'm not a stupid man. And if I really want to get out of it, I can. But like I said, you become used to this lifestyle, and it becomes part of a lifestyle for you, and you learn how to adapt to it and become comfortable.
You say for you though, do you think everyone could just get out of it if they chose?
Not everybody. I think, like I said, there's a lot of people that, depending on their backgrounds, depending on what there's a lot of things going on in somebody else's life. a lot of factors that you don't know why the person's homeless. You know, but a good percentage of people, it is a lot of it is because of the drugs, but also because they went to prison and they don't hire you.
Right.
You know? And they're so used to selling drugs. Now, like I said, if they're used to selling the drugs, that kind of a lifestyle, they make a lot of money doing it. It's a fast.
Exactly.
So and they're not going to.
But then you're just cycled into the system
You're
repeatedly.
right. But they'd rather live that lifestyle than work a job for say $10, $15 an hour minimum wage and make nothing, and not bother to get a career, and not bother to do anything to go back to school. Now people are encouraging them to. You know, people encourage them to go to school, encourage them to get educations, encourage them. Yeah, you know, because.
But then you just put yourself in debt, don't you? By like the school route is from what I understand, and even from my mom, my family, people that I've known personally, they just end up getting themselves into debt, and their whole life they're just paying off their debt. Yeah. Yeah. So they're literally, they become a slave. That's how I look at it. I don't want to put any words in anyone else's mouth, but I look at it like if you go to school and put yourself into debt for the rest of your life, and then the only thing you can do at that point is work to pay off that debt, you officially have become a slave. You made yourself a slave to the people that wanted you to be their slave. That's how it felt for me anyways. That's why I refused. I refused to go to college because I didn't have the money to pay for it myself, but I refused to go into debt.
Yeah, with the loans. See, I did that myself. I still owe them a loan, a student loan. See?
That's crazy.
I never was able to pay it back.
And if you did end up getting a job, they would tarnish your check. They would, or garnish it. That's what I mean.
Yeah, they garnish your wages.
So then you might end up homeless again. That just might be a whole nother thing that allows you to just become homeless again.
I know. There's a lot of things. I mean, I get pissed off at people too, and really, these people got attitudes. Now, see, this time I got in trouble. I got into a fight with a guy, and I hit him with the construction sign. I almost killed this guy. I was drunk, and we had a bad. But he was a bully, you know. And all the guys in my area, they were scared of him because he had them all intimidated.
Right.
It was bullshit. Well, I wasn't intimidated by him. He got pissed off at me, and didn't like it. So he bebopped me and put me in the hospital, and had a cheek was all screwed up for a while. I said, I'm gonna get this guy right now. That's just like a street. It's almost like, you know, you get your justice your own way. And I could have just called the police and said, hey, this guy's a violent person. He's messing with us out there. I mean, because even the cops, they will, if there's a guy that's causing problems in a certain area, they want to get rid of him too.
Right.
Because I mean, on their side, if you're minding your own business and you're not bothering people, and you're trying to keep your cool, hey man, they don't mind it at all, as long as you keep yourself at a decent level, you know. But then
here in San Diego, it seems like it might be that way. A lot of places aren't.
Yeah, they're pretty cool about it. But it's like I said, if you get too drunk, and you know, a lot of drunks get arguing and yelling and screaming, you know. And I've done that myself.
Right.
I've been there and done that myself. You get out and you get argue and yell, fight. Bum fights.
Belligerent and shit.
Yeah, well, that's just alcohol and drugs do that to people.
Yeah.
And it's just because you're so unhappy with yourself. See, now that's just my personal thing.
No, see, I agree with you, actually. They've done a lot of studies recently, not so much in America, but in a lot of other countries, showing that, you know, half the reason, or at least a large factor of why people turn to drugs and addiction and alcohol is because they don't feel like life's worth living, and it's easier to kind of check out early, and drugs and alcohol allow you to do that. That's the one that's clipped to your shirt. That's the mic.
Okay.
But the studies are showing that, you know, if you give someone a reason to live, like the universal basic income, for instance, if you just had that where you knew you never had to stress about, am I going to have enough money to eat, or a place to go take a shower, like a gym membership or something, then you start wanting to get off of the addiction aspect. And because life is better, you want to treat yourself better. The worse life is, the worse you want to treat yourself, because you want to numb that pain that comes with life. And that's what all the studies are showing. Yeah. And so if we, you know, treated people better, and I mean down to, see, I'm one of those people that doesn't believe there's a class system. I hate the idea of it. I don't think the president is better than you or me. I don't think you're better or worse than anyone. I think we're indifferent. I think we all have different aspects, but I think you're just as valuable to this society as anyone else is. It's just this society has failed people like you. And that's our fault. Like, we are responsible to make sure that that doesn't continue, and that doesn't...
Well, a lot of people go, I'm not my brother's keeper. You know, they get that attitude. You know, I'm not supposed to...
Until it's something that they want to fucking keep, until it's something they want to control. That's the thing, is people get this... It's this weird pick and choose. It's this, now I want to be my brother's keeper when I saw him smoking weed and I know it's illegal. Now I want to call the cops on him. But if he gets into trouble, I don't want to help him. So... It's a double standard.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it's hard. But you know what? On the other side, I mean, fortunately, there's still enough human kindness, if you will, for guys like us that help us out. Now, a lot of them still know we're going to go spend it on drugs and all, but they just help us out anyway.
Right.
You know, because they're just kind like that. There's some very, very nice, I would call them Christian. Mostly the Christian people do that, and there's just some real nice guys out there, nice people. So they're not all bad, but it's like when you fly a sign, you got to sit there for like about an hour. Sometimes you don't make a damn thing. Sometimes you get a $5 bill. Sometimes you get a couple bucks. So I mean, I worked it out to where I'm getting like maybe $3.50 an hour, if that. So it's really kind of low. But I make enough. I actually learned how to budget myself to live on $25, $30 a day.
Yeah.
You know, because I got enough money to buy something to eat. I smoke, so I buy some cigarettes. And I'm not asking them to pay for my habits either. But anyway, I used to be a really bad alcoholic. You know, but I drink now. But I was always a functional one for a long time.
Right.
Until things went bad with my situation with the law and all that. But I was always able to drink and function. I was a very high functional alcoholic, if you will. Because every day I come home, I'd drink 6-pack of beer and go to sleep.
Right.
You know, when I'd work a job and I'd have jobs and stuff, construction work. But I've done mostly outside work, construction, tree trimming, lawn care, garden. I mean, but I never developed a bit. I shoulda, woulda, coulda, if I had my chance to develop a business. But anyway, like you said, that's besides the point. All that stuff that happened to me, I allowed it to put me in my situation. So I'm out here, a lot of it by my own volition, but then again, I get mad at people too, because I see the way people put each other down.
Exactly.
I see the way they judge each other. I see the way they look at each other, and I see the way, it's like you said, they put themselves in a class. You got snooty people. I grew up in a town like that, that's what I'm saying. I could see that. I hated them. Like the socials in the high school.
Yep.
I couldn't stand them, man, because they were all like little gibbious shit. And I said, you guys are fucking crazy, man. Yeah, and then I tried to ask some of them girls out, and they go, oh, I wouldn't go out with you. You're hanging out with all those fucking guys on the hill over there, you know. It's like, you don't even know me, do you, girl? You don't even know who I am. You're just judging me by where I'm at. You don't know who I am as a human being. You don't know how high I am or how I tick. And they don't want to bother that. They classify each other by what's out here. And that's wrong, dude, because what's out here is nothing. It really is. I mean, sure, okay, basically, you got to have food, clothes, transportation, and roof over your head. And it's very difficult to keep that going. Like you said, guys are just fucking struggling every day to get out of bed.
Sometimes one mistake makes it fall apart.
And if you get in a bad car wreck or something like that, you're gonna lose. A lot of them will lose their jobs because they can't show up, and it's a lot of people are like that. I mean, those people. It's really funny because a lot of the people that are poor, they actually help us out because they understand what it's like to be poor. I feel bad for him. I said, man, don't give me your money, man. I see, the Mexican. Now, there's another thing is the prejudice that's out there against people. There's a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mexicans hate whites hate, but what's really prevalent is really prevalent in prison. They really do segregate. I mean, there's segregation out here to somewhat, but there's still people that get along with each other.
It's getting worse out here more and more with the presidency and everything that's going on.
Yeah,
that's all. I think that's just ignorance and fear. It's the same thing. It's all the same thing to me.
They were all pissed off because Hillary didn't win. San Diego all wanted Hillary to continue Obama's.
Yeah, I don't know if she would have been better, but that doesn't matter.
Nah.
I think.
I think every politician has tried to do what they could, and their hands are tied because of the system the way it is.
Yeah, the corrupt system the way it is. Yeah, it's completely corrupt.
Yeah, because if anybody stands up against it, they tell them to shut up,
or worse,
or kill them.
Yeah, something.
Something like
or they go to jail.
Or like Ross Perot was an independent.
Yeah.
Right, and they hated him, so they probably go, hey, you know what? You better back off, dude, because he was winning.
Yeah.
They told I know
in the Bush era.
Yeah. So I know the boys, if you will, told him to knock it off. I know that. That's all behind the scenes. Man.
Yeah, exactly. They're in the club, or not.
Or not. And, it's a rat ass fucking system.
So,
but anyway.
Let me ask: Would you we talked about it a little bit, rehabilitation, but I very specifically want to ask, like, would you accept assistance from a place that, let's say there was a place you could go that would be, how it would work is, it would be a house or shelter of some kind where you could go, not like the places you've been already. It would be, you get to come there and sleep at night and keep your stuff there, and it's safe. It's your own room and space, and the only requirements would be that at least 2 hours a day you're looking for work, whether that means you use the computer to do a Craigslist search or you do this and that.
Yeah, they have stuff like that.
Well, that would just be the beginning. And then from there, once you get a job, you don't just go, okay, get out, you get a job. You stay there and kind of reassert into, like, keeping, like, and again, maybe this wouldn't be specifically so much for you, but I think for a lot of people, like, rehabilitating the whole social.
They're trying to do. There are people now. Getting back to that paper, this is what I'm trying to say. They tried to help us out. We had a big get together. They told all homeless people to go meet at downhill, not City Hall.
Like Balboa Park.
No, it's right by the trolley down there.
In downtown.
Yeah, downtown. The Civic Center.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the Civic Center, we all got together and all slept out there. And at that time, the woman, Golding, was the mayor of town at that time. And the guy that ran the paper was trying to be our voice. He really was. He was trying to be our voice and trying to explain to them, look, you guys need to fucking break down and help us out, man, because look at this stuff out here. These people just don't know what to do. They're, blah, 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 blah. And he tried to help. And she says, you know what? See ya. And she told the cops to start busting homeless people.
Huh.
Just to go ahead and do what they do and harass us. They did. She actually told the cops to harass us to try to get rid of us.
Yeah.
I didn't interrupt you. Are you doing an interview?
Yeah, we're having an interview right now.
It's all right. But so I mean, a lot of the politics down here was against homeless, but it's that way everywhere. A lot of people are against homelessness per se, because it has the stigmatism of we're all alcoholics and drunks and addicts, and a lot of us are. And they say, well, why help them if they're not going to stop drugging or drinking? A lot of people have that attitude. If they're not going to stop drugging or drinking, And if they do give you a place to stay, we have to go by certain rules where you can't drink and you can't do that. You just can't. It's it's the reason I kind of like being out here, even though I'm on probation, is I have a sense of freedom for myself. I'm independent, and I can't stand being cooped up inside somewhere. I'm an outdoors person.
Right.
So for me, being homeless is really, I mean, it doesn't bother me as much as with somebody that has their comfort zones, where they have their luxury comfort of a room. Now,
but you'd still like the opportunity sometimes.
Oh well, the thing is, I've had my opportunities, but I let them all go, and I didn't stick with it.
But what about now? Like, let's say you do want to do it your way. I think that's where the universal basic income would come in handy, because then you would have the ability to be like, you know what? I just want, for these 3 days, I'm going to go spend my $500 that I get a month. I'm going to spend 100 of that on a hostel for these 3 days, where I do have an inside place that I can take a shower, use the bathroom when I want, kind of get more rest, and then go back out and do your thing. Like, live the way you want to live, but also be able to, like...
I said, like I said, there are functional addicts and alcoholics that can actually, they go to jobs and work, like you said. They go out and work, but they do their drinking and drugging. But a lot of them can handle it, and they do it. But A lot of them fall off the wagon too, because like they lost jobs or something, and they just kept going down and down and down. I don't like to say it, but I mean a lot of that's part of the problem, I think. But and they do try to rehabilitate you, but they treat people like shit that are trying to get rehabilitation.
Exactly.
They don't really rehabilitate you because they still look at you like, well,
you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, you're still fucking nothing. And also I believe, personally, I think the Hollywood, the quote, music. See, I used to want to be a musician too, a rock star, but I'm not more than one. And I played drums and stuff. I used to play guitar. And that was my dream, one of my dreams. I also wanted to be an Air Force pilot, but I'm colorblind, so that went out the window when I found out I was colorblind. That was my main dream, was to fly planes. I used to like fly ready to control planes. I mean, so I had a lot of good opportunities for that. But when I found out I couldn't fly, kaput. That kind of put the kibosh on. That was really one of my big dreams. That kind of hurt me.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I mean, we have limitations, and sometimes those limitations stop you from your dreams. That was one of my dreams. Another dream was to be a rock star, but I just liked music for music. I never really did it but a lot of guys go out for, like you said, for the party scene. Let's have a party, and that's what a lot of rock groups are. They're just a big party, no responsibilities. You go out and party and play music and just have a good time, Charlie time. That's what a lot of bands do.
But you never had a dream to be homeless?
I don't think so. No, I never thought that I'd wind up on the streets. But I'll tell you what, I had an experience when I was living in that town, Glendora. I was on my way going to a 7-Eleven to buy some beer. Late at night. It was late at night. There about, I do that every night. And I stopped in these bushes to take a leak, right? And I was pissed on this bum that was sleeping. I go, oh my God. And he was camped out. And I said, "Oh man, I'm sorry, buddy." And I didn't see him until he woke up. So I didn't put him down for being homeless. I said, "Hey man, can you use a couple bucks, man? Are you hungry, or you want to use some?" "Yeah, oh yeah, I do." I said, "I can use some money." So I actually, my dad raised me to be kind to people anyway. So I gave him a couple bucks. But even then, I didn't think I'd wind up like that, And nobody really does. I think a lot of people don't want to be homeless, and you don't think you're going to wind up like that. But if you do, when I first became homeless, I was pretty scared. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know.
It's very frightening.
Very frightening, very frightening. I mean, I had no family, so to speak. My parents died, and they were the only two people that ever really cared about me at all, and they both died. My sisters, we've never really been a close-knit family, so I don't want to burden them with my help. I should be able to take care of myself, and I can, but I just never really bothered to really help myself, because I lost my dreams, and I'm just broken, the guitar. And then when this happened, I really got bummed out, when this happened to me, and well, you did it to yourself, and it's not all that you do it to yourself, because like you said, the attitudes towards people, even when I grew up, was like, you want to, they put you down. I've seen this all, and I used to see, I got put down for doing good.
Right.
On the other end of the stick. I'm doing good in school. I'm getting A's and B's, all through junior high and part of high school. What are you, teachers, pep? Yeah, we got all this rhetoric for being. All that type of stuff that goes on in the peer pressure thing, kind of has a lot of effect on some people. For me, it did. But at any rate, I never dreamt I'd be homeless. But I lost my dreams, and I just I lost my dreams to just nothing.
Kind of gave up.
I just gave up. I didn't try to read.
Thank you.
Didn't really know, so.
Very much for your time. Yeah. I hope we can make it better real soon.
Yeah, I know the people out here need help, man.
Yeah,
they do.